let's look at the major diatonic chord progression real quick one more time. Remember when just a couple of lessons ago when we talked about the names of the notes of our scale? One of the super important ones was the dominant. Another one of the super important ones was the leading tone. Okay? Those are our biggest tendency notes. So the leading tone pushes very forcefully towards the tonic. Leading tone always feels like it's pushing towards the tonic because it's only a half step away. Okay, it's that, if we look at it down here, it's right here, and then tonic is right there. Just a half step away, and it pushes there really hard. The dominant has a major chord on it in a major key because the second note is the leading tone, right? And the third note is the supertonic. And all of those help this chord, the 5 chord, really push back to tonic. So in both cases, this leading tone is really important to making the music feel like there is a strong tonic. If we didn't have a leading tone, a lot of that pull would be missing. A lot of that tendency to go to tonic would be missing. So now let's look at a minor key. What have we got? We have a 5 chord that is minor, which means the reason that this is minor is because there's no leading tone in minor. This is a major chord, and that's a minor chord. So this G is a whole step away from that A, right? If we look down here, oops, doing the right octave, there's that G and there's that A. That's a whole step away because there's a note in between, right? So it doesn't have neither the leading tone or the dominant have the same kind of pull that they do in a major key. And sometimes that causes some problems for us. Sometimes we just really need that pull to happen. So we cheat. And we alter this by raising that. We can raise the leading tone. Why not? Sometimes we do that because when we do, that makes this a really funky chord, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it really pushes towards tonic and makes it feel like we've established the key a lot better than we would if it was just a minor scale. Similarly, this 5 leads us back to 1. When it's a major 5, because it has that leading tone in it now, it helps push. It has that tendency to lead us back to 1 in ways that when this is minor, it doesn't. Let me play it for you both ways. So here's without altering the leading tone. Okay, let me just get rid of this bar so we don't get confused here. Okay, so here is our minor diatonic chord progression, just normal. You could almost feel like it could keep going up, right? This doesn't feel like the place it stops and it just lives right there, right? Now let's raise the leading tone and make it a proper leading tone. Now let's hear it. Now, these two chords feel a little bit uglier, but this feels like a true tonic now. It feels like home, like we could end the piece on that chord. Because of these leading tones, they just helped push it there. So what I'm doing here is setting up a segue to talk about the other versions of the minor scale. I think I mentioned these a little while ago. We've been working with the natural minor scale, which means kind of the out-of-the-box normal minor scale. But there are 2 more versions of the minor scale that we're going to encounter in the next section. And they kind of mess up our diatonic chord progression a little bit. For the better, of course. That's why we we go through the hassle of learning these other things. So in the next section, we're going to talk about the melodic and harmonic minor scales.